Master sat quietly at his usual spot, a park bench under an old oak tree. The air was cool, the sun shining just enough to make it a perfect afternoon. I found him there, as always, sipping tea and watching the world go by.
"Ah, you're here."
He said, without even turning his head.
"Good. I've been thinking about justice today. You know the card, right?"
I nodded. Justice. The card with the woman holding the scales and a sword?
Exactly. Justice is about balance, fairness, right and wrong. But let me tell you, balance in life is not always as simple as holding some scales. Imagine trying to balance a grocery bag in one hand and your phone in the other, while the dog's leash is tangled around your legs. Life is messy.
I smiled. I'd been in that situation too many times. Master sipped his tea again.
Let me tell you a story. Long ago, there was a real estate developer, a man named Zane, who was always in a hurry. He wanted success, money, power, and he wanted it fast. No time to wait. He thought cutting a few corners would get him there quicker. So Zane made deals that weren't exactly fair. He overcharged customers, underpaid his workers, and figured, hey, it's not personal. It's just business.
I could feel the lesson coming. Master always had one tucked somewhere in his stories.
Well, one day Zane had a big deal lined up. It was going to make him rich. But the night before, something strange happened. He had a dream. In this dream, he was in a courtroom. Not a regular one, though. It was cosmic.
Master waved his hands for dramatic effect.
The judge was Justice herself. She held the scales, and beside her was a sword gleaming like it was made of sunlight. Zane stood before her, sweating. Justice looked at Zane and said,
"You've been tipping the scales in your favour, haven't you? Charging too much, paying too little. How do you plead?"
I laughed, imagining Zane trying to talk his way out of it. Zane, being Zane, tried to sweet-talk her.
"Oh, come on, Lady Justice."
It's not that bad. A little here, a little there.
But Justice wasn't having any of it. She pointed at the scales, and suddenly all of Zane's actions appeared on one side. The scales tipped so far they nearly fell over. Overcharging, lies, greed. It was all there.
And on the other side?
Empty. Not a single good deed. Not a fair moment in sight. Justice gave him a long look and said,
"Balance must be restored."
She raised her sword, but before she could bring it down, Zane woke up in a cold sweat.
Master paused for effect, looking me dead in the eyes.
From that day, Zane started doing things differently. He paid his workers what they deserved. He stopped overcharging. His business? Well, it didn't collapse. In fact, it grew, slowly but surely.
I nodded, seeing where Master was going with the story.
Life is like those scales. Tip them too far one way, and things get chaotic. We all want success, happiness, but if we're unfair, if we cut corners or ignore what's right, those scales will come back to haunt us. But when we're fair, when we seek balance, everything falls into place. Slowly maybe, but surely.
Master smiled at me.
So, my friend, what do you think? Have you been tipping your scales lately?
I couldn't help but laugh. Maybe a little?
Well, the question isn't just for you, it's for all of us. How are you tipping the scales in your life? And what can you do to balance them?
With that, he winked and took another sip of his tea, leaving the question hanging in the air like the cool afternoon breeze.
Justice is the ultimate reminder that what we give, we get back. It's not about shortcuts or selfish wins. It's about living with strength, integrity, and fairness. When you walk the path of justice, you aren't just balancing the scales, you're building a life of real power and purpose. It may be a longer road, but it leads to true success. Success that feels right, deep down in your soul.